What was the black market at your school? In high school there was this game where people would try to stealth zip tie other people's bags to their desks, shoes together, whatever, so they'd be stuck. When the bell rang, one guy sold the heavy duty zip ties and another sold mini scissors for easy escape. I was a substitute teacher at a charter school. The kids and the teachers liked me, so they kept bringing me back. I noticed there was a kid who brought a huge duffel bag every class, but he was also in sports, so I didn't really think of it. One day, he shows up with a can of the drink I had every day. When he noticed I hadn't brought one, the kid was running a snack business out of his locker and the duffel bag was packed with snacks and soda. Most teachers usually shut it down in their room, but he didn't disrupt the class while I was there, and he had the Monster flavor I liked. He was the current student selling and had inherited the business from a recently graduated senior. The school had tried to shut him down at least once. The kids noticed I didn't say anything, so they paid more attention in class, knowing I'd give them a minute or two at the end to get a snack. Air potatoes. For those unaware, air potatoes are an invasive species of vines that grow to cover massive swaths of forest areas in Florida, and usually result in the death of everything they grow on as they suck the nutrients out of the surrounding flora. There was a gigantic infestation of these vines around my school, and they bore small, roughly golf ball sized potatoes, which were very poisonous if eaten. Perfect size fruits for pelting your enemies on the playground. Obviously 5th graders being in possession of weaponized poisonous potatoes was frowned upon, so you had to be careful not to get caught picking them. Eventually the whole school was covered in bruises and welts from the Great War of 2003 to 2005. Finally they built a fence around the playground and a ceasefire had to be declared as all remaining ammunition began to rot. Beating kids up. In grade 8, so 13 years old, there were a few hitmen, huge bully type kids that would beat up anyone you wanted. Price started at $20. Within a few weeks it was up to $50. The hitmen were all independent, so you could pay one to beat up another. Lasted about 3 months when everyone came to school looking like hell. Soft drinks became black market in my final year, as the health department had passed guidelines about selling them in schools. One of the teachers initially was selling them from his office, but got shut down pretty quickly, so I decided to take it up. I'd get up early and drive past the supermarket on the way in, and grab a 30 pack of Coke / Fanta / Sprite etc. Then I'd sell them from my car at lunch breaks. That got shut down too, so I shift my approach. Ended up coming in early to school and dropping the cans off in various empty lockers around the school and padlocking them shut. Then at lunch I'd walk around with a bunch in my pockets and sell them, stocking up at the drop points as I continued my walk. Didn't really try to make money off it, was a bit more of a refuge to the man. Paper hornets. You'd load one up with a rubber band on the inner edge and launch the lil effer at other people. Could often leave a little bruise wherever it hit. Thing was, some people were good at making them, and some people were shit making them, so the people who were bad at it would buy them off people who were good at it. I was very good at it, creating ones that would hit hard as F, but fly like a dream. I routinely would get dimes for the simpler ones, but the crazier ones I'd sell for a quarter. I've posted this before, but it fits perfectly here. They got rid of the soda machines at my high school, which caused the students to get really pissed. A buddy of mine bought a bunch of 12 packs of store brand sodas for $3 each and a huge cooler. He showed up the very next day after they removed the machines and charged $1 per soda. The demand was insane, and he sold out each day right when lunch started. The staff got pissed and stopped allowing him to bring the cooler. So instead, he brought a huge gym bag that he claimed he needed for PE class and filled it with sodas. He couldn't keep up with the demand, so he cut another guy in and had him carry a gym bag too. Years after he graduated, his sister attended the same high school and someone asked her if her brother was the soda guy. He had become a legend just that fast, lol. When I was in middle school, we used to have this thing called punish work. It was basically this sheet of paper that was probably like 8 paragraphs long, basically saying in a fancy way that you broke the rules and are being punished for it. You even had to get your parents to sign it, and at the end it said, was it worth it? If you did something that wasn't like suspension worthy, you'd get issued punish work. You would basically have to write that entire sheet word for word top to bottom. Depending on what you did, you'd get issued one sheet. Sometimes 2. I've had 3 and 4 before. Doing the punish work really wasn't that horrible, but who wants to sit here and write that whole thing? Nobody. So some of us started offering to write people's punish work for them for money. Sometimes snacks at recess or a pack of cookies at lunch. I'd charge $2 a sheet. If you didn't have $2, I wanted a snack at recess, or like I said, a pack of cookies at lunch. There was at one point when I had people specifically come to me to write their punish work for them BC they knew I was good for it. So sometimes I'd just randomly write a sheet out in my spare time to get ready for the next deal. My stepbrother at the time too. He started forging people's parents' signatures for them BC he was good at cursive writing. So that was another aspect of the black market punish work hustle. In 5th grade I smarted off to a cop at school, and my a-hole teacher made me stay inside for recess every day for like 2 weeks, and write punish work instead. At the end of those 2 weeks, I stole all my punish work sheets I'd written, and I started selling them to classmates. By the time I was in 8th grade, I had that sheet basically memorized, and at the end of the sheet, how it said, was it worth it? One time I got it for something stupid as F. So I wrote below it yes it was worth it bruh, and I got issued more sheets than Mayo. Anime bootlegs. Back in the early 2000s, one friend went to visit family in Hong Kong every summer, and would always come back with only the freshest of badly subbed pirated DVDs. He made a killing burning those. I think I still have the Cowboy Bebop bootlegs around somewhere. As a senior I was 18 and old enough to be a stock boy at a liquor store, even though you had to be 21 to buy. The owner was a rich old widow who definitely had a thing for me, and she wound up putting me in charge of the books and auditing the store. Needless to say I started a side hustle supplying booze to my entire high school. I took orders during the week and had them ready for Friday nights, delivering everything out of the trunk of my car. I made roughly $3,000 a week for about 9 months. It ended with a woman selling the store and buying one closer to where she lived. She lived about 1 hour away, and the new owners were a couple who cleaned house of all current employees, so they could run the store themselves to save money. The widow's new store mysteriously burned down 3 months later, but that's another story. When the new owners audited the store they called me asking if I could come in and help them with the books, because something wasn't adding up, and I told them to pound sand, since they fired everyone without notice. Heard from another ex-employee who worked at a pizza shop next door. They chalked it up to the widow not knowing how to run her business and running herself into the ground. In hindsight, I was lucky it ended when and how it did, because I would definitely gotten caught at some point. Saved up enough money to buy a new truck in cash right before leaving for college, and having money in my account to get me through freshman year without working more than 20 hours a week. I've since rolled that truck into every new vehicle I've owned as an adult. We had to wear ID badges at my high school that had our school name, our full name, our picture on one side, and a colored bar indicating our seniority: purple freshman, green sophomore, yellow/gold junior, red senior. So this one friend of mine got a machine that her dad used to use to make company IDs, scanned her own ID, made a blank template, and sold ID badges for $5, and could make it say whatever the customer wanted. Me being the edgy teenage freshman that I was, I wanted a picture of the Grim Reaper on mine with it saying death in a red band. I forget what name I chose, probably something stupid. I got caught by the principal, and he threatened to expel me and have me investigated for identity fraud if I didn't tell him who it was. So I asked. As I was leaving I texted my friend and told her something along the lines of don't admit to sh. I only told him you made mine or some sh. We both only got a stern talking to. I went to a military school. The black market was a few things: snacks, Gatorade powder, weed, and our currency was Tide Pods, because they're expensive to buy and we needed them to wash our clothes. Obviously lol. Also fights. People wanted to fight to get their anger out, or fight because they had beef. A room would host and charge admission fees, and of course paid with Tide Pods. And if you're wondering, Gatorade powder was being sold because it was the only nicely tasteful thing we had managed to get in months. Before this it was Thai food and pure water. Most of us got tired of drinking, except for during/after PT on the summer heat. So when a few guys managed to get their hands in Gatorade powder, it was like crack coke. We would just eat it raw or save it to put in our canteens, then request a new one or wash it out when we're done. Or for our cups of water in the DFAC. There was also a time these two guys broke into the DFAC one night and stole a whole lot of pudding and cookies so they can sell it to us. Thoughted pods. They eventually got caught later on in the program though. During class picture day actually. We also gambled with Tide Pods. It was the true currency. Sports bets or shooting dice. Also if there's a fight as well. Also shape ups. Definitely wasn't allowed. Strictly bald heads only. But if you had enough you could find a teenager with actual barber experience to shape you up with the razors that we used to shave our facial hair, which was required. You could also pay him with your nightly snack. Candy. At my elementary school, I'm already out, so my experience before leaving, which was long cause I was there for a long time. You can ask to be in front of someone in the lunch line for 2 pieces of candy. The math teacher would give us candy for being correct. And one time I had a lot of them. 2 people asked for candy and said they would be friends with me. A guy said they would let me be in front of him in the lunch line. My crush said that if I gave them candy they would talk to me. There was a guy who sold vitamin water and protein bars from his locker at a much cheaper rate than the convenience store nearby. We assumed he was able to get some sort of bulk discount and was passing the savings on to us while still making a little bit. Nope. Turns out the dude just didn't do his math right. He was buying individual cases of the products, but divided incorrectly when trying to get the unit prices, and was just selling everything at a loss.